Mind renewed, my soul's alive, body strong, my faith won't hide. Every step I'm aligned inside. Grace in motion, I was made to thrive. I'm living, I'm growing, I'm glowing inside. With power and purpose, I rise and I shine. My body, spirit, all in line. Yeah, I was made to
Carrie Pope. Happy Sunday. Welcome to our new THRIVE YouTube channel. Look, I'm over here just talking with no sound. Thank God Carrie Anthony Pope is the tech guru in our partnership that I didn't even click the sound button. Welcome in. Welcome to the new THRIVE YouTube channel. I'm so excited for our new channel. Welcome in. And listen, this is the 4th installment of our Freedom series, and I'm so excited. Carrie's over here laughing. Shut up, Carrie. Okay, listen, y'all know me in tech. If it wasn't for Carrie Pope, y'all know I would be completely lost when it comes to all this tech. So we appreciate Carrie so much. Welcome in. For all of you joining us on this brand new channel, I am so excited to bring you our 4th installment of our Freedom series. 4th installment. This is episode number 4, installment number 4 of our March series on freedom. Today's topic is freedom from survival. Freedom from survival. Permission to thrive. Freedom from survival. Permission to thrive. This morning, this topic is really, really close to my heart because these are issues that affect all of us, especially in the transition from surviving to thriving. And this morning is going to be more of a teaching series because these are issues, the struggles, the patterns that keep us from thriving. And so this morning, the work that we do inside of our Sunday service this morning is specifically around helping you to identify your own patterns that are keeping you from thriving. And the inspiration for this message comes from my own life. In this season of my life, I find myself in a place where God is having to fine tune. He is having to recalibrate how I have operated in the previous decades and years of my life, bringing to my awareness, bringing into healing the habits, behaviors, and patterns and mindsets that I developed over years of survival mode. That even though some of those on the surface level seems like they served me very well. But now when it's time to thrive and it's time to now be in a posture of harmony, a peaceful mindset, now that it's time for our nervous systems to be healed, now that it's time for us to operate in ease and flow, for money to flow easily, effortlessly in our lives, for us to create businesses that are not built on hustle and grinding and pushing. Now that it is time to be inside of our relationships with peace and healthiness, right? And the flow of love, not toxic relationships, healthy, loving relationships. Now that it is time to parent adult children, now that it is time for you to go into your next evolution in your leadership and in your profession, now that it is time for you to go into your next level of health in your body, physical well-being, better stewardship over your physical well-being and your health and wellness, better stewardship of your finances that require peace and calm and steadiness, not knee-jerk reactions, not reactive to everything, not being undermined with a spirit of anxiety and anxiousness and fear that is undermining these different areas of your life. This is a different season. And how many of you this morning can say, okay, in a thriving season, what is required of me is quite different from what I learned in my seasons of survival? Our scriptures this morning are coming specifically from Jeremiah 30:17. But I will restore to you health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord. I'd like you to begin in your mind to separate and put a line in the sand of your life that separates your years of survival into your years of thriving. If you want to cross over from survival into thriving, recognizing that your years of survival was a direct reflection and response to wounds, to trauma, to limited beliefs, limited thinking, generational wounds, generational trauma, generational ways of thinking and habits that were not healthy nor conducive to you thriving. So we need healing in order to transition fully into our season of thriving. Scripture 2, John 10:10. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. The enemy did everything he could in the previous seasons of your life to steal, kill, and destroy your peace. Everything within his power, the spiritual warfare over your mind, over your soul, over your heart, over your life. But God has come that you have life and have it more abundantly. So this morning, we are going to take a dive into the top and most common patterns of survival. And like I said, this is about you self-identifying. Some of this you may look and say, yep, that's me. Others, as you read and you listen, you're thinking, that's me too. And I just haven't identified that prior to this message this morning. So most common survival mode patterns. Expired patterns that must be healed to thrive. Hypervigilance. Always on edge, scanning for problems, expecting something to go wrong. This blocks peace, presence, and trust. 2, overworking, overfunctioning. This is me. It's the biggest number one for me. Feeling like you must do everything, carry everything, fix everything. Leads to burnout and prevents delegation and ease. 3, scarcity thinking. Constant fear of not enough money, not enough time, not enough opportunities, not enough support. Keeps you playing small and making fear-based decisions. Think about these 3 for a moment. Do any of these 3 apply to you? I'm owning number 2, my number 1 struggle, especially because in my seasons of pursuit and pushing and grinding, the overworking to me seemed like a benefit. It seemed like an asset. It seemed like one of my greatest talents was being a work ethic, a drive, ambition. But really, it was overwork and overfunctioning, masked as work ethic. And I went through constant cycles of burnout. no ease, no flow. Amen. 4, control issues, needing everything to go a certain way to feel safe. Blocks flow, blocks creativity, and blocks trust in God. 5, emotional guardedness, difficulty opening up, trusting others, or being vulnerable. Prevents deep relationships, connection, and support. 6, self-sabotage, pulling back when things start going well. Procrastination, inconsistency, or creating problems where there aren't any. Keeps you in familiar struggle instead of new levels. 7, constant busyness, always doing, never resting, equating rest with laziness. This blocks clarity, strategy, and restoration. 6, I'm sorry, did I go? That was 7. 8, fear-based decision-making, making choices based on avoiding loss instead of pursuing purpose. Limits growth and alignment. 9, low-level anxiety as normal. Feeling uneasy, rushed, or pressured even when nothing is wrong. Keeps your nervous system in survival instead of peace. Number 9 is for me also. Are you self-identifying this morning? If we take one, let's stop right here for 1 second. Are you identifying? Are some of these sticking out to you as your own survival patterns? That you've been operating in some of these? It's going to take you owning it, identifying it, so that you can interrupt it and heal it. So number 9 for me, a low-level anxiety as normal. I have operated that way for decades without even realizing it. I just considered myself a driven, ambitious person. But that was masking what was underneath that motivation, was low-level anxiety. 10, people-pleasing. Prioritizing others' needs to avoid conflict or rejection. Disconnects you from your own truth and boundaries. How many of you can own people-pleasing? Worrying so much about everyone else and not putting and investing the time in yourself to really be able to fulfill greater calling, greater potential in your own life. 11, lack of boundaries, overextending, overgiving, saying yes when you should say no. Drains energy and reinforces survival cycles. 12, distrust of ease, believing things must be hard to be real or valuable. Rejects opportunities that are actually aligned and abundant because you think everything must be hard. 13, identity tied to struggle. Seeing yourself as the strong one, the one who holds it together, or the one who always has to push through. Makes it hard to receive help or live differently. I definitely identify with that one. The strong one, the one who holds it together. 14, difficulty receiving, struggling to accept help, support, money, love, or opportunities. Blocks abundance and overflow. 15, operating in reaction instead of intention. Always responding to life instead of leading your life. Operating in reaction instead of intention. Always responding to life instead of leading your life. Keeps you in cycles instead of strategy and vision. Welcome in, Amber. Tico says these are good points. We're going to send out an email after Sunday service this morning with a summary of these. With the summary. Okay. 16. Fear of slowing down. Because slowing down feels unsafe or unfamiliar. Prevents healing, clarity, and real transformation. For those of you who are just joining us, we are covering the most common survival mode patterns. Most common survival mode patterns. So fear of slowing down prevents healing, clarity, and real transformation. 17, minimizing your needs. I'm fine even when you're not. Ignoring your own desires, rest, or healing keeps you disconnected from thriving. Welcome in, Ronald. So the truth behind all of these is survival mode has taught you how to make it through. Thriving requires you to unlearn or to learn how to live differently. At some point, what protected you becomes what confines you. And this morning, the reason I'm bringing this message, and it's a teaching message, not a preaching message, is because recognizing that how you've operated in the previous seasons of your life. Let me tell you something. First of all, God has to interrupt your life. He can't keep allowing what's worked for you to keep working. If the cycles truly are going to be broken, something's got to change. Something's got to change. Because if God allows the positive reinforcement cycle, how many of you guys know about human psychology? There's such a thing as a positive reinforcement cycle. If you feel like what you've been doing keeps working for you, you do not feel the pressure to change anything. You don't feel the pressure to step out of your comfort zone, even if your comfort zone is toxic, hellacious. Even if your comfort zone is uncomfortable, it's still what you know. So if God allows you to keep being rewarded, if how you've always made money keeps making you money and keeps being just enough for you to keep your head above water, until God begins to make you even more uncomfortable, you're not going to step out of that comfort zone to stretch yourself to say, why isn't this working? What is going on with me? What needs to change in me? See, these are the questions you begin to ask yourself in the transition from survival to thriving. Why is this not working anymore? What lessons is God trying to teach me? What is God trying to get me to see in myself? See, when things start to shift, you'll find yourself in new situations trying to apply the same old rules, trying to apply the same behavior. But God has now shifted you, and what you used to do will no longer work. Trying to hold on to the same old people, trying to repeat your same patterns, trying to apply the same thinking that created the problems or the same thinking that used to work for you in those previous lower levels. That's not going to work for you when it's time to thrive. Amber says, I'm learning how to honor my needs. Honor my needs. the mindsets, the habits, the behavior that was created often over decades of programming and conditioning, what you were born into, what you learned to survive, what you learned to repress. In this season of my life, God is reprogramming how I run businesses. God is reprogramming how I work. Why? Because of number 2. I built businesses built on a foundation of striving, pushing, ambition, drive, hustle, grinding. And guess what? You build whatever energy you build from is what you have to continue to do to maintain it. Come on, this is not just me. Whatever relationships where you had to minimize yourself, play small, those relationships stop working when you start showing up in your power, as you start healing. Now, all of a sudden, the relationships where you didn't have boundaries, the relationships where you didn't speak up, the relationships that were caused out of a scarcity thinking, where you were afraid, you didn't think you could do any better, so you settled for some things. And now as you heal and as God is transitioning you into a season of thriving, it is no longer working. You find yourself unable to tolerate. You can't just dumb yourself down anymore to keep making these things work for you that don't work anymore because you've outgrown it. It is now time for you to thrive. And the people who cannot get with the new version of you, the people who don't like the thriving version of you, Ronald, Amber, the people who do not like this new healed version of you, Tico, the people in your life that can't get with this new boundaries, this new voice, this new confidence, this little bit of new swagger, this patience, this steadiness, this more calm version of you, Tico. Not a version who's going to keep putting up with all the silliness and craziness because you no longer tolerate the shenanigans, your new boundaries, your new mindset. So then what hurts is that as things begin to change and people are falling off, Ronald says, healing has decreased my family circle. Why? Because they don't like it. The light is shining too bright. And guess what? It's shining into all the dark places and they don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want the mirror being reflected back into them to say, Ronald's working on that. That sounds a little too much like right. Sounds a little too much like me. Sounds a little too much like something I need to do. I'm not ready for that. I don't want to face that yet. I don't want to face that family trauma. I don't want to face what happened to me too. Amber says, true, so true. When I stopped shrinking, my relationships drastically changed. They were no longer aligned. Your old money and the way you used to make money isn't in alignment anymore. Tico says, a 20-year friendship, right? 20-year friendship gone. Due to me putting in the work and growth, boundaries were set. See, and we think too deep. We think that, it's got to be really big things that cause these major shifts. It is big because what's changed is you. How you operate, the foundation of who you are and how you show up is shifting. The desires of your heart are different from what they used to be. You desire calm. You desire peace. You desire healthy, loving relationships. You desire to be supported in the same way you give support. You desire to make money from a place of harmony and peace and no longer pushing and grinding because you don't even want to start something. You don't even want to start something from a spirit of grinding and hustling because then you're going to have to keep doing that to maintain it. You're on your new health journey. And as you're focused on your health and well-being, recognizing that what you used to do don't work anymore. You're not looking for the trendy quick fixes. You want health and well-being from healed habits and a healed mindset. Sheikah Renee says, ouch, I need to do some uprooting and pruning. Why did I give you guys so many survival mode patterns? Look at these. Hypervigilance, overworking and overfunctioning. What some of you might be calling boundaries is really hypervigilance. You don't know how to trust people because you don't trust yourself. You have been hurt when it comes to trusting people. So you have hypervigilance, but you're trying to wrap it in pseudo psychology language and saying, these are my new boundaries, when really you're just afraid to love, afraid to trust. It's called emotional guardedness. Difficulty opening up or trusting others or being vulnerable because in your surviving season, you got taken advantage of. You weren't appreciated. You got hurt by trusting the wrong people. So now is it's time to thrive and open up and invite in new people, new relationships, new business partnerships, new ventures. As it's time for God to expand you, you can't be emotionally guarded. It's going to block your blessings because the people who are trying to love you, trying to build with you, and who mean you no harm, you will be blocking them out, walled up. Control issues. If you think you have to be in control of everything in order to be safe, guess what? Hard to expand. Because you want to play it safe, because you want to have control over everything. Self-sabotage, pulling back when things start going well, procrastinating, inconsistency, or creating problems where there are none. Finding problems to fixate on keeps you in a familiar struggle instead of new levels. Constant busyness. Guess what constant busyness does? Keeps you from focusing on all the healthy new habits that you should be curating in your life. Keeps you from focusing on the next level things that God has for you to do. Your next level business, your next level calling, your next level purpose, your next level health and well-being. It keeps you from exercising. It keeps you from meal prepping. It keeps you from focusing on the toxic relationships and the people you need to get rid of. Constant busyness. I want you to self-identify this morning. I want you to be able to say, oh my God. Rebecca, oh my God, I thought I was only dealing with this, but I'm dealing with 6, and I'm dealing with 9, and I'm dealing with 12, and I got a little bit of 15 in the mix too. Guess what God brought to my awareness this week? I've been trying to apply Band-Aids. I've been trying to apply occasional healing to some deep-rooted, multiple decades old behavior that I have been repeating for literally decades. It's not going to change simply because I identified it, simply because I have said to myself, I've known for the last 3 to 5 years, I'm an overworker, I'm a workaholic. Work is my drug of choice. Now that doesn't sound too complicated, and it sounds like if you identify it, you should be able to heal it. And that's literally how I went about it. Oh, I'm a workaholic. I need to heal that. So I will literally just admit that, and now I'll go to work and it should just be done because I've identified it. And then over this last couple of years, going through these cycles of going back to work, overworking, and find myself going into extreme highs of overwork and overwhelm, and then crashing back down because I don't know how to cut the cycle of ups and downs of overworking and crashing. Just like drug addiction. It's not going to be healed from simply identifying it. Oh, I'm a people pleaser. Does identifying as a people pleaser heal the people pleasing? No, it does not. That's not enough to heal it. It's not enough for your life to be interrupted. If I want to heal something in my habits and in my mindset, especially something that was developed over decades of survival of what I had to do in order to keep my head above water, now in my season of thriving, it is going to take concerted, consistent effort and intention every day to heal this in my day-to-day life. It is going to take consistent, disciplined effort to heal these unhealthy patterns. Ronald, you said it, unhealthy patterns. You can't wish it away. You can't think it away. These are areas of weakness that are going to continue to show up in your life repeatedly over and over again until you make a consistent, concerted effort to heal it. How do you heal your survival mode patterns? How? To go from survival to thriving. 1, interrupt and identify. That's why I gave you 17 unhealthy patterns. Before I even go into the healing process. This morning in the comments, I would like you to self-identify. As I go through the 17 most common survival mode patterns, in the comments, I'd like you to write the ones that you identify with. Write in the comments the ones you know for a fact you have got to put more effort and concerted energy and focus into healing. 1, hypervigilance. 2, overworking and overfunctioning. 3, scarcity thinking. In the comments, self-identify. 4, control issues. 5, emotional guardedness. 6, self-sabotage. 7, constant busyness. 8, fear-based decision-making. 9, low-level anxiety as normal. You can even put the number in. If you don't want to type it all in, put the number in. 9, low-level anxiety as normal. Ari says emotional guardedness. Thank you, Ari. 10, people-pleasing. 11, lack of boundaries. 12, distrust of ease. You don't know how to let your guard down. You don't even know how to enjoy calm and peace. Amber says hypervigilance. 13, identity tied to struggle. You so used to struggling, you don't even know how to accept more ease and thriving into your life. You don't know how to accept help and to be supported. 14, difficulty receiving. 15, operating in reaction instead of intention. Always responding to life instead of leading your life. 16, fear of slowing down. 17, minimizing your needs. Who can identify? Ari says lack of boundaries. Amber says emotional guardedness, distrust of peace, hypervigilance. Ari's put up above emotional guardedness. Ronald, hypervigilance, emotional guardedness. Tico, 2, overworking. 4, control issues at times. 11, lack of boundaries. 16, fear of slowing down. 17, minimizing your needs. Tico, thank you. Listen, can we admit that a bunch of these kind of go hand in hand? Can we admit, right, that a bunch of these go hand in hand? Amber says identity tied to struggle, difficulty receiving, fear of slowing down, minimizing my needs. Amber says, Lord, I need help. Ari says they definitely overlap. Sheikah says 8 and 10. 8 and 10. Fear-based decision making and people pleasing. Are we able to see this morning, guys, that this stuff is deeper? Ronald says 80% of it is me. Ronald, thank you for your honesty. It's a bundle deal, apparently, Amber says. Listen, thank you for your honesty this morning, because what I began to see in myself, because I've been feeling like in this last few years, as I've had what I call my midlife awakening, is, okay, God, I've thought that there's, a few things going on. God's healing some things. Okay. I'm doing the work. I got this. I'm doing it. But I did not identify the depth of the work. I didn't identify how deep some of this goes. I didn't identify how much work it was going to take on my part. How much work it was going to take on my part to heal it. I didn't realize how much work it was going to take, because these things have been literally, you've been reinforcing this behavior for years. It's even to a certain extent become part of your identity. In many ways, we get praised and appreciated. Who this morning can say, I've been praised and appreciated because of my lack of boundaries? In my service to others, I feel needed. There's something inside of all of these behaviors that it feels like there's a reward. There's always going to be something in your mind that makes it feel like it's working for you. And that's the trick. Because now when it's time to thrive, we have to realize this is no longer working for me. Ari says definitely praised for lack of boundaries, right? When you're the person who always says yes and never says yes, oh my God, Ari, she's so dependable. We can always depend on Ari to help. We can always depend on Ari to show up. We can always depend on Ari. She's so dependable. We appreciate that about her so much, right? Ronald says, Mrs. Pope, 4 years, I thought fasting, prayer, and speaking in tongues would help. Nope. Doing the work helps. Ronald, you make such a good point. The steps to healing it. Notice what is not in these steps. Ronald, you got to identify it. You got to get still and sit in silence to retrain your brain and your body and your nervous system for peace and calm. You got to meditate and affirm, replace fear with truth and realign your thinking. I am powerful. I have great boundaries. I am sustained. I am safe, right? Meditation. And 4, therapy. Doing the deeper work to heal and transform the root of these behaviors. The root. Ronald, to your point, notice what's not in this equation. This serving on the praise team isn't healing this. Speaking in tongues isn't healing this. Fasting might lead you to do more of this. Prayer can lead you to do this work, but it can't replace this work. Going to church can't replace this work. Finding the love of your life can't replace this work. You can't sex this away. You can't drink this away. You can't work this away. You cannot outrun, outwork, or outserve into your own healing. Carrie has created a new app, a new meditation and mindfulness app that we're using at home as he's testing it and refining it. And as I began to use this app, and it became this tool that helped me to focus my spiritual practice, to actually do my work every morning, to set the tone for my day around peace and groundedness and operating from a place of peace and calm versus those low level anxiety, that low level of anxiety as a normal, helping me to heal and take authority over my life. So as I work, I stay in this place of calm and steadiness versus going up into overwork. And as I've been using the app this past week and a half, putting more structure around this spiritual practice, because although I have been doing my spiritual practice now for years, there hasn't been enough structure. There hasn't been enough intention. There's some mornings I would do it half-heartedly, and this is when I would find myself tripping up, falling back into the same pitfalls, obstacles, and the habits that so easily come back in to overtake me, the patterns that are so normal for me that I slip and just slide right back into that way of thinking and that way of operating, because it's been my standard operating procedures for so long that it's been the foundation of my life that it is a preset. And if I do not actively reprogram my operating system every day, I will fall back into my preset. So I have to consciously, intentionally take authority over my mind, my peace, my calm, my nervous system. This is something now that as I've come into this new revelation, that I have to do this every single day. I've got to start my day curating this calm and peace in my life, because if you leave Rebecca Lynn Pope to her own devices, I am going to do a quick slide out of peace and calm into hustling, grinding, overexertion, low levels of anxiety, carrying everybody on my shoulders, enabling whatever you identified in these 17 this morning. Those are your go-to standard operating procedures. That is your preset. And thank you, Carrie, it's a daily walk and discipline that brings about sustained change. So this is what I want to set this morning. If you're not actively doing something every day to counter your standard operating procedure and preset, it is going to fall back into place, and you will find yourself right back where you've always been, under fear, anxiety, people-pleasing, lack of boundaries, whatever your go-to out of these 17 you've identified this morning, without concerted prayer, consistency, meditation, therapy, healing work, right? Identity and awareness, and interrupting those cycles, you are going to fall right back into the same patterns again and again. And that's the message this morning. It is time for discipline, routines. Now, see, I'll say something about myself. This week, as I got a different awareness around this, because once again, earlier in the week, I find myself right back into a cycle of overworking, right back into a cycle of overwhelm, and then I'm crashing and I'm saying, how did I get here again? How? I already know this about myself. So how is it that I trip up? Stop and think about it. How did you fall into that pit again? How did you fall into that cycle again? How did you end up saying yes when you really wanted to say no? How did you fall into that people-pleasing cycle? How did you fall into that hypervigilance cycle? How did that anxiety come right back around again? And you find yourself operating out of that fear and anxiety all over again when you already know this about yourself. How? Because at this point, after so many years of reinforcement, this has now become almost like addictive behavior. It is literally what you know to do, right? Which means just like any other addictive or compulsive behavior, it is going to take concerted effort for you to heal it. It's going to take a concerted effort. That's right, Carrie. It's a default. Being a workaholic is a default to me. So now I have to go and do the work that it takes to deprogram it, to make my new way of life, my calm, my peace, my harmony life, my harmonious, peaceful, loving, steady, joy-filled life, my new normal. Which means I have to operate in that and curate that every single day. I have to choose that every single day. Every day. So I'm going to send out an email that's going to have a recap of all 17 of these unhealthy patterns. I'm also going to include what needs to be implemented in order for you to heal it. Okay? So we're going to put that in an email. Sheikah says, I think I'm afraid of all the work that actually needs to be done. I'm way too comfortable. Listen, I'm so uncomfortable, Sheikah. I'm so uncomfortable that because I'm a results-driven person and God is not allowing me to get to my next level results and have it locked in without these habits changing. That's what God showed me this past week. This is not about the businesses. This is not about all these other endeavors that I have. It is not about success in these areas. This is about me. I said to Carrie this week, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? You can do all these things, but if you are lost in your own cycles of anxiety, if you're lost in your own cycles of fear, if you can't sleep well at night, right? If you're fixating and worrying, what's the whole point? God has come that we have life and have life more abundantly. That's the goal. So God is healing our habits. He's healing our mindset. He's healing us in order for us to thrive. Thrive is not an outward result. Thrive is an inner state that now extends and materializes in the physical world. Amen. If this message has blessed you, we invite you to give, we invite you to sow into this ministry. If this message has helped you, give a love offering at the link that we just posted there. You can also give at Zelle. I think it's, what's the email for Zelle, Carrie? Contact@RebeccaLynnPope. You can also do Cash App at Rebecca Pope 365. We appreciate you. Welcome to our new THRIVE YouTube channel. We're over here, guys. We're about to build. Make sure you share the channel. Make sure you share this video with someone who needs it today. As you know, we are a teaching and spiritual institute and ministry. It is not just about spiritual motivation. This is about learning how to thrive. This is about learning the life skills to thrive, the mindset to thrive, learning what has to be transformed in your life for you to live abundantly. That is our mission. So make sure you subscribe to our channel. Also make sure you're on our newsletter list. There's a link above in the video to make sure you get on our newsletter so you can get updates for all of our live stream content This is our Thrive home going forward. This is where Life with the Pope's live streams, our Sunday service, and everything as we develop it is what God's going to be having us to do. Will be right here on our brand new Thrive YouTube channel. All right, we love you guys. Mwah. Blessings in abundance. Let's have a great remaining Sunday. I love you guys. Talk soon. Bye.